the National League MVP race has suddenly become much more interesting. For most of the season, Shohei Ohtani looked like the clear favorite. But with Ohtani not expected to return to the mound anytime soon, Pete Crow-Armstrong has started gaining serious momentum. In fact, PCA has even moved ahead of Ohtani in the latest MVP odds. But now, a former World Series champion and legendary pitcher has explained why taking the MVP away from Shohei Ohtani could still be nearly impossible. And according to John Smoltz, everything could come down to what happens in September. If Ohtani returns to the mound and finishes the season strong, Smoltz believes the race could quickly swing back in Shohei's favor. So, can Pete Crow-Armstrong complete one of the biggest MVP upsets in recent memory? Or is Ohtani's two-way value simply too difficult for voters to ignore? Let's break it all down. When Shohei Ohtani was healthy and pitching, there was very little debate about his MVP case. He was not only producing as one of the Dodgers' most dangerous hitters, but he was also dominating on the mound. Ohtani made 14 starts and posted a remarkable 1.72 ERA before his knee issues forced him away from pitching. That is an incredible achievement. But because Ohtani is now appearing only as a designated hitter, the door has opened for another superstar to enter the conversation. Pete Crow-Armstrong. The Chicago Cubs star is putting together an incredible all-around season. He has been producing offensively, creating value with his speed, and playing elite defense in center field. And that defensive value is one of the biggest reasons why PCA has become such a serious threat to Ohtani's MVP chances. According to the latest MVP odds, Pete Crow-Armstrong has moved into the lead ahead of Shohei Ohtani. The offensive numbers between the two stars are close enough to make this a legitimate debate. But while Ohtani's biggest advantage came from his ability to pitch and hit, Crow-Armstrong brings elite value every single day through his defense and speed. With 7.5 WAR, 30 stolen bases, and 22 outs above average, PCA has built an extremely strong MVP resume. But according to former World Series champion John Smoltz, Ohtani still has something that could make it almost impossible to deny him the award. Speaking on Ben Verlander's Flippin' Bats podcast, Smoltz made it clear that he still believes Shohei Ohtani has the advantage. However, there is one major condition. Ohtani needs to return to the mound. Smoltz explained that if Shohei comes back in September, wins his starts, and continues to lower his ERA, the MVP race could be over. Think about that for a moment. Ohtani already proved earlier this season that he can dominate major league hitters as a starting pitcher. A 1.72 ERA is not something that should be casually ignored. And that was Smoltz's biggest point. Sometimes because Shohei Ohtani is so unique, people almost start treating his accomplishments as normal. But they are not normal. A player hitting at a high level while also posting an elite ERA as a starting pitcher is something we almost never see in baseball. And that is why Smoltz believes Ohtani has his own category. Pete Crow-Armstrong deserves enormous credit. His defense has been outstanding. His speed has created extra value. His offensive production has made him one of the most exciting players in baseball. But Ohtani's two-way ability changes the entire conversation. PCA is an elite position player. Shohei Ohtani is an elite hitter who has also proven that he can be a dominant starting pitcher. And if Ohtani returns to the mound in September and delivers several strong starts, his overall value could become overwhelming. But there is another side to this story. What happens if Shohei does not return to pitching? That is where things become much more complicated. If Ohtani spends the rest of the regular season only as a designated hitter, Pete Crow-Armstrong could have a real opportunity to take control of the MVP race. PCA supporters can point to his elite center field defense, his speed, his stolen bases, and his overall impact on the Chicago Cubs. And if he finishes the season with a historic offensive stretch, his case could become even stronger. This is why the final weeks of the season will be so important. The MVP race may depend on two major questions. First, will Shohei Ohtani return to the mound? And second, Can Pete Crow-Armstrong continue playing at an elite level all the way through the end of the season? For the Dodgers, however, the MVP race might not be the most important thing. Their biggest goal is October. Los Angeles is focused on winning another World Series, and the organization will not want to take unnecessary risks with Ohtani's health. If his knee is not completely healthy, the Dodgers may decide that protecting their superstar for the postseason is more important than giving him a few extra regular season pitching starts. And that decision could have a huge impact on the MVP race. Imagine this scenario. Shohei Ohtani returns to the mound in September. He makes several starts. He wins games. He dominates opposing hitters. And he lowers his ERA even further while continuing to produce offensively. If that happens, John Smoltz believes it could become extremely difficult for voters to choose anyone else. Because how do you ignore a player who is producing at the plate and also dominating as a pitcher? That is the challenge Pete Crow-Armstrong faces. PCA may have elite defense. He may have incredible speed. He may finish with an outstanding WAR total. But Shohei Ohtani's two-way value is something completely different. At the same time, PCA absolutely has a legitimate chance. If Ohtani never returns to the mound and Crow-Armstrong continues to dominate both offensively and defensively, the Cubs star could complete one of the most impressive MVP campaigns in baseball. Right now, momentum may be shifting toward Pete Crow-Armstrong. The odds have changed. The conversation has changed. And Ohtani's injury situation has created real uncertainty. But John Smoltz's message is clear. Do not forget what Shohei Ohtani already accomplished this season. A 1.72 ERA is a big deal. 14 starts are a big deal. And combining that pitching performance with elite offensive production could still give Ohtani an MVP case, unlike anyone else in the National League. So now, everything may come down to September. Will Shohei Ohtani return to the mound and remind everyone why he is the most unique player in baseball? Or will Pete Crow-Armstrong continue his incredible season and officially take the MVP crown away from Ohtani? The race is far from over. And if Shohei comes back healthy and dominates on the mound, John Smoltz believes taking the NL MVP away from him could be nearly impossible. What do you think? Does Shohei Ohtani still deserve to be the NL MVP favorite? Or has Pete Crow-Armstrong done enough to take the lead? Let me know your prediction in the comments below. And if you're a fan of Shohei Ohtani, the Los Angeles Dodgers, and the latest MLB news, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more updates.